Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to Connected by Community, a podcast sponsored by Ballantine Capital Advisors. We're here to bring you interest from our community regarding nonprofits, businesses, and other community interests. I'm joined here with Anthony Colincheco from our office and also Justin Durham from Execusource. And we were joking about this. I think I got the name right, not super complicated, right?
You got it. That's absolutely right.
Well, thanks for joining us, Justin.
Thanks
Glad to have you here. So obviously you work in a field that is hot right now, and we'll get into that in just a second, but maybe tell us a little bit about yourself. Are you from Greenville? You move here? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm from the Greenville area. I'm from the grand metropolis of Pickens.
That's real local.
One light town, we're local, moved away for a little while, was in the military. But yeah, I'm Justin Durham with Execusource Recruiting. Been there for a little over a year now, but I've got about 7 years total in staffing, recruiting, and a short foray into human resources that we'll never go back to. I love the Greenville area, love the Greenville community. Enjoy raising my family here.
Awesome. Well, if you're from Pickens, that's considered local, right?
You have to draw that too. Pickens.
Yeah.
Everybody does.
I understand. Well, there's like 4 people that are local now, right? So
exactly.
You're one of the 4.
Yeah, one of the 4, one of the remaining few.
Pickens probably has 2 stoplights now, right?
Well, we actually we found out not too long ago we're getting a Starbucks.
Oh my!
In the old Burger King that turned into the new Verizon that is now going to be torn down and turned into Starbucks. So my wife is about as excited as you can get. I am too. I love Starbucks, but she passes that way every day on her way to work. So she's hopping. She's ready for it to get going.
Well, forgive me, I don't know. Do you have a Chick-fil-A?
We don't have a Chick-fil-A.
Okay, well,
the closest one is
that's when you made it.
Yeah, I know, right? Don't have a Chick-fil-A. We don't have a QT. Are we even Southern?
No, I don't know, man. Awesome. Well, again, thanks for joining us, and we're going to jump into maybe a little bit about what's going on. So it's kind of a hot job market, and I guess maybe generally, what do you see in the job market out there before we jump into particulars?
Well, hot job market is a great way to describe it. There's a lot going on, as people are coming back from COVID, both workers coming back into the workforce, and obviously, I never saw the demand for workers slow down. Other than the first maybe 2 or 3 months of COVID back there in 2020. There are a ton of jobs out there. I feel like there are more jobs a lot of times than there are workers, than there are applicants. And so that definitely gives candidates a leg up and gives them a bit of a choosing situation. Where do I want to go? I've talked to people all the time. I've got a buddy in real estate. He talks about multiple offers on the table. We're seeing the same exact thing in the recruiting market right now. We'll have people talking to 2 or 3 different companies at the same time, sometimes have multiple job offers on the table. So that's one thing that our clients are really pushing back on. Why are we losing these people? Well, they got a counter offer at their current employer, or they got a counter offer somewhere else. And it's definitely been a fun industry to be in over the past year and a half or so.
Absolutely. So what do you think? I mean, other than COVID, what's driving that? Is it we don't have enough workforce, which is one of the things that's been talked about for a long time, and maybe we're reaping that. We don't have enough training, birth rate. Is it some of all of that?
I don't know if birth rate has anything to do with it. I don't know if I could get that technical on things, but I do know, our state has done a great job of attracting companies to the area, and definitely have a lot to offer, in this area in terms of our cost of living and just the beauty of the area. Everybody loves it. You're in the mountains, right? You're 3 hours away from the beach. So companies like to come here because they feel like they can attract those good workers. And, so thankfully it's a little bit easier maybe than other areas to entice people on a relocation. But yeah, in terms of the number of jobs available, I think it's just the sheer number of companies that have come to the area since textiles fell off and then the automotive industry came in. You have more and more companies coming in, those tier automotive companies that are suppliers of major automotive companies such as BMW. You constantly have new companies coming to the area. That just piles on. You've got 80 more jobs because a new company came to the area. So we're constantly seeing those press releases. The county council or the governor will announce a new company coming to the area, and a part of us is like, yeah, okay, there's another company we can go after. Another part of us is sitting here saying, okay, where are we going to find these people at? And I know HR professionals, talent acquisition managers are going through the exact same thing. And so a lot of times that's the reason why they come to people like me.
Gotcha.
That's the people up north that's coming here, like myself.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I mean, if you want to have 4 seasons, or at least somewhat 4 seasons, you can come to the South and get that.
Minus the snow. That's why I left the north.
Man, I'm telling you, I didn't want to move anywhere where there's going to be a ton of snow. The problem with South Carolina that I see is that when we get snow, it turns into ice, and that's even worse than snow. I hate that icy slush that we get.
Well, but at least it goes away. So.
Yes,
it does.
in an hour.
Yeah, exactly. Then it refreezes that night. You have to deal with the same issue the next day.
We run a small business, and we're always obviously looking to attract new talent. And recently, we were trying to attract new talent, and we came into some of that issues of multiple offers on the table. Mm-hmm. What advice do you have for businesses that, how fast do they have to move, and do they have to, we have a process that we sort of go through when we're hiring. Do we need to change that up and stuff like that?
Streamline your processes as much as possible is my advice. Going through that with a couple of clients right now, things that are beyond their control, a lot of times are not allowing them to streamline their process as much as maybe the HR professional and the hiring manager would like, because there are multiple people in the process. But streamlining that as much as possible and getting with those key decision makers and letting them know, hey, this is where the job market is at. And, coming into contact with somebody like me, using someone like myself or a company similar to us is very valuable, because we do that every day. Mm. And you can have kind of that ammunition to go to that CEO, CFO, whoever with, and say, hey, the job market is super tight. If we're not moving on this candidate, they're done. They're gone. What we're seeing, and it varies by position, but what we're seeing a lot of times is if you haven't engaged that candidate in a meaningful way within the first few days, the first week, whatever it may be, depending on their level, they're gone. They're out of there. So we're on applications when we have applications coming through. We're on those within 24 hours most of the time. Engaging that person. There are times when I'm sitting there, I'm seeing resumes come through, and 5 minutes later, I call that person. They're like, "You already got my resume?" Yeah, I got it. Are you interested still? 5 minutes later, yeah, I'm still interested. So we jump on those people pretty quick, and that's where companies have to be streamlining their processes. If you're not, you're really doing yourself a disservice, and you're probably going to miss out on some good candidates.
Does small business? I'm curious. Do small businesses maybe have a leg up on that? Because they're not as bureaucratic as some large organization. Maybe there's some type of appeal for whatever reason to be theoretically with some larger company, but a small or medium business might be able to cut through the red tape and make an offer and move forward.
Absolutely. Play to your strengths. You can only play with the hand you're dealt, right? So, I think the thing that we run into with smaller businesses a lot of times is you do wear many hats, so a lot of times, a small business's controller will also be their human resources. They're dealing with finance, they're dealing with recruiting, they're dealing with the safety issue that just happened on the floor. And the guy who walks in and says he's about to quit, they're dealing with so many things that are coming at them.
I have no clue what you're talking about.
Well, okay, I can't help you there.
No, I totally get what you're
let's break it down now.
I think a lot of it for small business owners like us, it's finding the right candidate that kind of fits the team too, right? I mean, that's also plays a big part of that.
And I see people, see companies sometimes that they'll shave out a few of their, a few of the points in their job description, maybe. Well, we really like for this person to have this and this. But then they run across a person that is just, a really dynamic individual. They feel like, oh man, this person would be fun to come to work with. They're gonna bring a lot to the team. They mesh with our personalities really well, and so they'll say, well, we can train on this right here. So don't be extremely stringent on, well, this is in the job description. If they don't check that box, sorry, because I mean, hey, if you find the right person and they're trainable, you can always train a few things here and there.
Yeah, we found that in our business, especially being small, like Anthony was saying, it matters if you've got 8-9 employees. The simple math, if you've got 10 employees, you add one, you just added 10% of the workforce. To always kind of equate that, if you had a BMW and you had 5,000 employees they have, but if you had 5,000, that would be like adding 500, right? It's a big deal.
Yeah.
And so culture, personality, and how we don't have to all be best friends, but we got to be able to get along.
Right.
matters a lot.
Oh, absolutely. We just went through the same exact thing at Execusource. Like I said, I came on in April of last year, and business really picked up, started booming. And let's see, I think it was September we had Angela Avant to start as well. She's a great recruiter on our team. Meshes really well with our team as well. And then let's see, about a month ago, I believe it was, we brought on another guy, and we had interviewed several people before that, and people who had experience, people who, we felt like they could probably do the job. But in terms of, are they going to come in, interact well with the team? We're a very small group. We're up there in Endeavor, One North Main, in one of their offices, and so we're kind of in a bullpen area. Is this person gonna do well with our team? Are they gonna care that Kevin over here gets a little loud on calls, or are they gonna care that I do all the crazy things that I do? I mean, there's no telling. I got so many quirks, it's not even funny. We have to understand, we're a small team, so small companies do have to take that into consideration. Sometimes the guy or the girl that checks off every box is not the person that's going to push your business forward.
That's a great point. In fact, I'm just kind of laughing in my head because the last person we hired told us, and it's funny. She's in with Anthony in the same office. She told us that she hums or sings.
She sings.
And she was honest about that. Yeah. We're like, that's cool. And I, what's awesome is she's always in a great mood. So I kind of take it and I smile. I mean, I'm not in the office. I hear her.
I start singing. So
you just start singing along with her, right?
So you just have an honest conversation about it. And it's like, I'd rather have somebody smiling and happy and singing than, right. miserable. So
I click my pen all the time. I walk around and just click my pen. And I know that drives people nuts. It's got to.
We all have them, right?
Yeah. Oh, we've all got our quirks. Nobody's perfect. If you think you're perfect, I'm telling you, you're probably the worst offender.
That's right. That's for
sure.
So
Execusource, what are their niches? So do you cover all bases in the job force?
We don't cover all bases. We're a professional recruiting firm, primarily focused on direct hire. We do a lot of more temp and contract work as well in the professional space. But really, when you're looking at what our niches are, we have accounting, finance, and human resources. That's one side of our business here in Greenville, and then on the other side of our business here in Greenville, we have manufacturing operations, very heavy in engineering. Supply chain as well. But in terms of hourly workforce, if you're looking for 50 general operators, 30 warehouse associates, 10 forklift operators, whatever it may be, probably not the best resource for you. In fact, we don't really touch those. But if you're looking for a game changer for your organization, what we like to do is partner with you. We are smaller, so we're not like some of the national brands where they have 50 clients on one account one account team. We're not just going to bypass to the next client after we get that first round of applicants, and not trying to just plug in my business here. The way we like to do it, and kind of our philosophy is get with those hiring managers, get with those human resources managers, find out really the key aspects of what they're looking for. We submit 3 or 4 candidates that we feel like fit what they've told us they want, and then we want feedback. If you want to interview those people, that's the best case scenario. They interview those people, they move forward in the first round. If you can't move forward in that first round, tell us why you couldn't. Proper feedback is, or detailed feedback, I should say, is so critical in this recruiting process, because we're on the outside looking in. We're not sitting there with your company every day, So there are a lot of lines there are a lot of lines to read between in your job description, like you mentioned, finding that right fit. So we pivot constantly. If the first 3 or 4 candidates don't work, we'll pivot back. We'll do another search. We'll send you another 3 or 4 candidates. And so it's not like you have to interview those first 3 or 4 if they're just not a good fit for you. Tell us where we can do better. We'll do better, and then we'll keep going. So that's kind of how we do things. Now, I think the question, to go back on that, I'm rambling here. To go back on the question, what are our niches down in Atlanta? That's where our home office is at. We have a very large contract and temp team doing a lot of accounting temps, administrative temps, things of that nature. We even do some, in the more technically skilled manufacturing arena as well. Quality technicians, maintenance technicians, things of that nature. And we also have a remote IT team. So we cover a lot. But if you're looking for that assembler, I'm probably not the guy to call.
So I had a question, kind of stepping back maybe to where we started. I hear this term, the Great Resignation. I'm sure you've heard that term.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I know in the service industry that's hit incredibly hard. Our team actually last night went out for dinner and we enjoyed it. But one of our favorite restaurants we went to closed down recently. We weren't able to go to that one.
Yeah.
So, and maybe that's the only industry I don't know. But, one of the questions that we talk about all the time is, okay, if we've had this great resignation and some of the stimulus money's dried up, what are people doing? Because they still have to pay their bills and gas is going up. So they're getting higher bills, right? So what is with this great resignation and what are people doing? Any feedback on that?
If you can find somebody who can put a pin in what the Great Resignation is and say this is exactly what it is, can you send them my phone number? I'd love to get their exact definition of what the Great Resignation is. Look, yeah, COVID played a huge role in it, and I do think it hit the service industry really hard. You see it everywhere. I mean, you go into whether it's McDonald's or Hall's Chop House, you're probably going to see a sign up, we're hiring. I know that a big thing that has kind of led to resignations has been the desire to work from home. A lot of people understandably afraid of COVID. Afraid they're going to get it. They have a family member who passed away from it. And that's enough to instill fear in anybody. But yeah, I mean the exact causes behind it, I think a lot of it was driven by COVID. Other than that, if you can find somebody to put a pin in it, let me know.
Well, one of the things I've heard, I'm going to get, so my 2 cents are, we've seen the service industry, specifically the restaurant industry, people were mean and nasty and didn't treat them good anyway.
Right.
So, I mean,
Right.
You have patrons that aren't treating them nasty. They aren't getting paid a lot. And oh, by the way, restaurants are shutting down potentially because of COVID. I got to look somewhere else and get a job.
Right.
I might could buy that, but I think the concern, or one of the things that's been talked about, it didn't just stop there. I know some of what we call custodians, people that hold money, and service providers that are more on the professional white collar end, they can't find workers either. And some of these folks pay pretty decent. So it has permeated more than just your, folks at the line serving a meal. And if these, quote, white collar professional service jobs aren't or can't be filled and service levels are coming down and they're begging and pleading for people to work and they're even letting them work from home, they're trying to give. And I, like you, am not smart enough to know the macro geopolitical birth rate, but I do wonder, I mean, way back in my college days, and I'm starting to become an old dude now, they've been talking about that we don't have enough skilled trained workers.
Right.
And these are skilled service people I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Not just, they have to have a level of expertise, and maybe we'll have to find a someone in that field that's an actuary to even talk about that. But it's an interesting topic to think about, right? Because it affects employers and people who are trying to fill them for people like me or other folks.
Well, talking about those skilled workers, we had, I was in a meeting last month where someone with, I believe it was Move Upstate, with the Upstate Alliance, they have the Move Up initiative. Someone from there was speaking at this meeting, and they were talking about the number of people in the workforce, the number of CDL truck drivers in the workforce. The age gap that's there in terms of, when those people are going to be retiring, that, over the next 14 years, I think it was something like 59% or something like that of qualified CDL truck drivers are going to be retiring over the next 14 years. Well, who the heck's going to deliver our hamburgers? I mean, come on, who's going to deliver the steel, the wood, everything that gets delivered over the road? And yeah, I mean, there are so many people that I see going to college, and I talk to a lot of college students too, where they say, well, I don't know what I want to go to school for, and so they'll go for a couple of years, and not really know what they're going for, kind of switch out and back here and there, and rack up a bunch of student debt. But I'm telling you, I mean, you can make a ton of money as an electrician, as a plumber, as a truck driver. You don't have to go rack up a ton of student debt there either. I mean, a lot of times there are grants that'll pay for, 98, 99, 100% of it.
Or apprenticeships. I know someone in the HVAC business, they'll actually train them right there in free training as long as they commit to work with them. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I tell my kids that, and also parents. Yeah. I think, well, that's another subject, but, I think we're sending kids off sometimes to go get an education, but we haven't given them a vocation.
Exactly.
So
what
a
do you want
vocation
to do?
pays an education may not.
Yeah, I mean, hey, if your kid likes working on small motors or large motors, whatever it is, maybe pull out the tech school brochure and say, hey, you know what you think about this right here? They don't have to go be an engineer somewhere to make a ton of money, and they don't have to rack up all that student debt either. I went to school. I got, I went in the military, got my GI Bill. So I may sound like a bit of an anomaly. I've got that college degree, but I mean, I'm telling you, I'm a parent with young kids. Have no idea what my kids are gonna want to do, and if they do decide, hey, I want to be an engineer or a doctor or whatever, hey, more power to you if that's what you're sure you want to do. But if not, hey, go to tech school for a couple of years, figure it out, before you start racking up a bunch of student debt, and maybe go into something that's not gonna cost you as much money down the road.
And then when they come to someone like you, there's probably a lot of opportunity too.
Oh, yeah.
And that's probably true, even a tighter, a more employer-friendly, less employee market. Meaning, if there weren't so many job opportunities, those type jobs tend to hold. I mean, I'll go back to a plumber, for instance. I always tell my kids, when you need a plumber, price doesn't matter if you need one, right?
Right, exactly.
So there will probably always be a job as long as we're humans.
Oh yeah, when that toilet is overflowing, which I had that issue. I've got a 2-year-old. I've had that issue come up 3 times over the past 6 months. And I'm telling you, I have pulled up a toilet more times over the past 6 months than I ever wanted to in my life. One time is too many. But yeah, whenever the 2-year-old gets into the bathroom, sometimes, mom's makeup or, whatever is handy, a toy.
You find all kinds of things.
Man, it's horrible. Horrible.
What I want to ask one kind of question to kind of follow up what Anthony asked earlier. What do employers need to do different other than maybe tighten up the time frame? Are there benefits? Is it working from home? Is it, is there 2 or 3 things employers need to really think about they hadn't been thinking about 5 years ago?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people like me, the first thing they're going to say is pay people more, give them more money. Unfortunately, especially in a lot of those hourly positions, you see people, they're going to leave for 50 cents, $1.50 more. And that's not something that a lot of your larger manufacturing companies or, your larger organizations, I speak a lot from manufacturing standpoint. A lot of your larger organizations are not going to have a problem bumping their pay rates. So if you're a smaller organization, you're sitting here saying, man, I can't outprice those larger companies, and you can't. But you can control your culture. You can control, a lot of times benefits, what you offer there. Maybe look at your benefits packages. Get a little creative. Throw in a few things that those other companies are just not going to throw in, that are going to be enticing to those people. One of the things that I like is pet healthcare. My wife has a small dog, and that thing has cost me more money than I paid for, and I paid a lot. That dog has cost me more money than I paid for it just in, like vet bills and checkups and things here and there. So maybe consider pet insurance. I don't know. Consider some of those things that are outside of the box, and focus on your culture as well. There was something else that I thought of. Slipped my mind now, so maybe it'll come back to me here in a minute. But
that's helpful.
Think outside the box.
Yep.
There's employees out there that are listening that are looking for a job. What sort of Execusource's process for them?
Yeah, if you're looking for a job, you need to call me. I got a lot. We all have a lot. All my colleagues back there in the office. So yeah, I mean, if you're interested in looking for a job, I would say get in touch with somebody who is a recruiter and then just apply. I mean, you apply to positions, somebody's going to give you a call. There are, like I said, more jobs than a lot of times there are candidates for certain positions. So if you're looking for something, you're in the driver's seat. You should be applying for everything you see that would fit your qualifications. And, hooking up with a recruiter, finding somebody who may know, of a company, that would fit your skill set, who I market people all the time, employees of competitors to my clients. I'll market those people out there, and they'll say, well, I haven't posted this job yet, but here in about a month, I'm probably going to need this position right here. So can we go ahead and just interview this person? So you'd be amazed at the number of times that I'm able to get somebody's resume, preemptively in a client's hands and solve their problem before they even, put the problem out on the market. So if you're talking to somebody like me, we have those contacts. You're not just relying on a job board to put you in a haystack of candidates. We can pinpoint a lot of times the exact hiring manager who's going to be interested in you.
Sounds a little bit like real estate. A good real estate agent can add a lot of value by, knowing some people who are interested in that property. Even though real estate's hot, you might actually get a premium off market by having a specific buyer in mind.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
No different. So
the other thing I thought of,
yeah,
you mentioned remote work. I hear a lot of companies and they're still saying, well, we can't let people work remote. Well, have you tried it? One of my clients, I never would have thought they'd go remote in a million years. I mean, it just wasn't something that was in their business plan. They resisted it for a long time. And they've told me that, their engineering team is hybrid remote right now. And they said, we were amazed. The productivity level on a lot of things went up. We have happier employees, things of that nature. They're not seeing as much turnover. So give it a shot. I mean, if there's something that, obviously there are some positions they cannot be done remotely. You have to be there hands-on. But if it's a position where most of the time, you've got people that are sitting in front of a desk for 8 hours a day, at a desk in front of a computer for 8 hours a day, there's absolutely no reason why there can't be a little bit of flexibility there in a lot of those cases. So that's a big deal for a lot of people. You're talking about the Great Resignation. I mean, I have people, some of the people who do contact me, those candidates who contact me, they say, hey, what do you have on the remote side of things? My company doesn't want to go remote. We're all in the office. I'd like to work remote, and so
you're getting employees specifically calling in and saying, that's the position I'm looking for. Yeah. It fits better with my lifestyle.
Right.
So employers that are opposed to that may be missing out on qualified candidates.
You're definitely missing out on qualified candidates. I've
and that's here to stay.
3 qualified candidates over the past week that want to be remote.
But do you think that's a trend? Not just a trend. That's probably something that's here, like going to stay.
I believe it's going to stay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, with technology evolving the way that it has, people are doing meetings over Teams in, U.S. and Asia, whereas they used to fly people out, once a month to meet with their suppliers. Now they're doing meetings virtually via Teams, Zoom, something of that nature.
Well, one of the things we learned, I'll speak, and Anthony probably can speak a lot more. Our business is more in office, but one of the things that we've done is allowed us to test and actually, I think, be more prepared if there were an emergency. So one of the things I think being ready for, work at home type stuff is how are your systems ready for it?
Right.
So it can also be from an employer standpoint, business continuity that's important. And you weren't thinking about that. You were thinking about how you wanted to do work, and it probably lets you be more ready for disasters.
Right. Absolutely.
Wouldn't you say, Anthony?
Yeah, absolutely. I think once COVID hit, we sort of switched gears at our office, and I'm sure a lot of folks have, and now we're completely cloud based today. So it forced us to sort of be prepared to be able to just pick up our laptops and go.
Right. And I think COVID did push that idea of being able to work from home forward because, if you got somebody who comes down with COVID and they're an essential employee, a lot of times a smaller company, you don't have a backup to that person. So how are we going to get this job done when that person's quarantined for 14 days?
And they may not be really sick. It might be that they have it, they need to be quarantined, but they're not real sick.
Right, exactly. And so, that kind of forced the issue a lot of times.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, this has been really, really powerful and helpful for me, and I appreciate you coming. I know we always have a signature question we like to ask. I'm going to let Anthony do this and put you on.
What makes you tick?
What makes me tick? Personally, my family does. I get up every day because I got 3 kids and a wife, who enjoy living in a warm house, a nice car to drive. My wife likes a nice car to drive. My kids aren't quite there yet. And, that's really what makes me tick. I love the community that I live into. I know we're connected by community, right? They didn't pay me to say this. I really do. I love the Greenville area. We get out in the mountains and hike a little bit once it starts getting warmer, and then you're not too far away from the beach. You can run down there. We live in a great area. So yeah, just the involvement in the community, involvement with my family is what makes me tick.
Awesome. Well, thanks for being here, and certainly want to give you an opportunity. If people want to find you, how would they reach out to you and find out more about your company, your organization, how they might be able to help you out?
I'm pretty sure the only way that I'm not on LinkedIn is when I go to sleep. I'm on LinkedIn pretty much all the time. I get notifications constantly. So look me up, Justin Durham on LinkedIn. Send me a message. And then if you're interested, you can go to our website as well, Execusource.com, if I can speak clearly, Execusource.com. Go there and you can send me an email.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And thank everyone for joining us at Connected by Community. Until we see you next time, go out and make our community great.